Hello everyone, it's Supernatural Sammy and welcome back. Today's video is about one of the most intriguing urban legends out there, Mel's Hole. It's a story that involves a supposed bottomless pit, strange experiments, and a possible government cover-up. So let's dive into the mystery that is Mel's Hole. On the night of February 21st, 1997, a mysterious caller who calls himself Mel Waters called into the infamous paranormal radio show Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Mel had a tale to tell, one that would intrigue and mystify listeners. He spoke of a cursed hole, a seemingly never-ending chasm that was said to possess supernatural powers. The hole had been a local legend for generations and was known as the Devil's Hole by the first settlers. As the show went on, Mel's story became more captivating and enthralling. He spoke of the hole's mystical qualities and how it defied all scientific explanation. The listeners were transfixed, and Mel quickly became a sensation. In the following years, he made 2 more calls to the show, each time with even more extreme tales of the hole's terrifying powers. Mel's Hole had become a phenomenon, capturing the public's attention. For years, the mysterious hole on Mel's property was nothing more than a convenient dumping ground for household waste, furniture, and construction debris. But despite years of waste being thrown down the hole, it never filled up. As Mel grew increasingly curious about the hole's depth, he decided to test it out, using 80,000 feet of fishing line. Yet, even with such a massive length of line, it failed to reach the bottom, leaving Mel with an unsettling feeling. To put this in perspective, the amount of fishing line Mel used could have reached about a quarter of the way through the Earth's crust at its thickest. According to the United States Geological Survey, it is as if the hole was a gateway to an unknown and unfathomable depth. He recounted how his neighbor callously disposed of their pet dog's body in the mysterious hole, only to be struck with disbelief when they saw the same dog frolicking in the nearby woods, alive and well. Although the dog wore the same collar, it appeared to have no recollection of its owner and remained unresponsive to their desperate calls. Mel also recounted how metal items and portable radios would start to behave in odd ways whenever they were near the opening of the 9-foot diameter hole. Incredibly, he claimed that the metals would transform into entirely different substances, leaving him baffled. And if that wasn't enough, Mel also recounted an incident where he brought his radio to the pit and turned it to his favorite station, only to be greeted with strange unknown voices, bizarre programs, and music from bygone eras. Mel continued to do experiments with the pit and lowered a bucket of ice 1,500 feet deep and pulling it up to find that the ice had warmed up but remained solid, having transformed into a flammable substance. This wasn't the only time Mel's experiments went against the laws of science. When he shouted down into the hole, there was no echo, and when he hurled heavy objects like refrigerators or CRT tubes, there was no sound to indicate that they hit the bottom. Then, Mel made an incredibly shocking claim that involved lowering a live sheep into the pit. The sheep made loud noises and kicked on the way down before suddenly becoming silent. Upon lifting it out, Mel discovered that the animal had been cooked and had developed a strange lump that began to move. To his horror, he found a baby seal with intelligent human-like eyes inside the lump. Mel claimed that the creature miraculously cured his cancer and jumped back into the hole. Local sheep herders later claimed to have seen the creature radiating a malevolent presence. This disturbing story might explain why Mel's dogs refused to come within 100 feet of the hole, and why birds never perched on its stone retaining wall or metal cover. Mel's tales didn't just involve items he put into the hole. At times, unexplainable things would emerge from the hole. Mel shared a chilling account from one of his neighbors, who witnessed a blacker-than-black beam emanating from the cursed pit. The light was described as a flashlight beam, but instead of the typical whitish color, it was solid black. As the rumors of Mel's Hole spread, they eventually caught the attention of the federal government. During one of his calls, Mel talked about an encounter with a man in a suit who informed him that the area was off limits due to a plane crash and that he was no longer allowed near the pit. Mel reported seeing men in biohazard suits standing behind the man. Later, the government leased the land and paid Mel a large sum of money to leave the property. He accepted the money and relocated to Australia. The government's involvement in the situation only adds to the intrigue surrounding Mel's hole. In one of his last calls, Mel shared a shocking account of returning to Washington 2 years after moving to Australia. Despite being warned not to do so by the government, he claimed that police officers moved him from a bus and left him on the streets of San Francisco 2 weeks later with IV marks on his arm, several missing teeth, and no recollection of what had happened to him. Upon returning to his hometown, he felt as though he was being followed by menacing strangers. He discovered that the government had taken over his land and that the region had been erased from the Terra server mapping system. However, this is not the end of his story, as he claimed to have found a similar hole in the Badlands of Nevada. This hole had a metal ring that extended into the ground rather than a brick lining, but its experiments produced similar results. Despite the years that have passed, discussions about Mel's hole have remained constant. The urban legend has become the subject of many online forums, and a tribal medicine man called Gerald R. Osborne, also known as Red Elk, claimed to see UFOs flying over the pit, even suggesting it was an underground UFO base. After Mel returned to Australia, he disappeared from the public eye. Despite numerous attempts to locate the exact spot of the hole using Google Maps and other technology, no concrete evidence of its existence has been found. The legend of Mel's hole remains a tantalizing mystery that has captured the imaginations of many over the years. Some people believe that the government covered up the existence of the hole and that it may be a portal to another dimension, or even an entrance to an underground alien base. However, without any solid proof, the truth about Mel's hole may never fully be revealed, and it will continue to be a subject of fascination and speculation for years to come. I hope you enjoyed learning about Mel's hole. I wonder if there's anything to the story, or if this is just a story made up by Mel. While we may never know the truth behind this mysterious endless hole, it's a fascinating story. Let me know what you think about the story. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.